This is the House Appropriations Committee. It is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are finishing up our day with the FY26 budget and the Department of Motor Vehicles. And a new commissioner, Andrew Collier, welcome. And also Renee, is that Renee Coda? Finance Director. And so welcome. I don't think you've been in here yet this year, so we have lots of new members anyway, and you're new, so why don't we go around and introduce ourselves?
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Iacovone. I live in Morrisville and I represent the Lamoille, Washington district. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome. John Kosenska from Burke, and I represent the Essex Caledonian District.
Hi, Mike Nigro. I represent Bennington Powell.
Tom Stevens from Waterbury, representing the Washington Chittenden District.
On Zoom is Jim Harrison, if it's here. He's from Chittenden, the town, not the county. And I'm Robin Shy from Middlebury.
Tiff Bloomley from Burlington.
Trevor Squirrel, Underhill and Jericho.
Wayne Rush, I represent Highgate, Franklin, Berkshire, and Richford.
Hi, I'm Mike Norwood here from the Wyndham 4 District, and that's Putney and Dummerston.
Hi, I'm Lynn Dickinson. I represent St. Albans Town.
So introduce yourselves and take it away. Thanks.
Sure. Andrew Collier, Commissioner DMV for the record.
Renee Coda, Director of Finance of DMV.
So thank you for having us, and we'll get started with our slides here. This is just a breakdown of what our budget versus actuals for fiscal year 25. Just a quick snapshot. We are right in line, 51.5% on the operating side, and 47.5 total for the department. Right here. It's just a breakdown of the fund sources for DMV. I just want to note, so this says 398.75 million. This is accounting for the 52 million that the Ed Fund pulls from our revenue source. So just, I know it's a separate number from what AOT, the agency number has, so I just wanted to flag that.
So that's not really part of your budget because it goes straight to the Ed Fund?
Correct. It's the revenue that passes through that we.
To the Ed Fund.
Yep.
So that's not accounted in this.
Nope, that was just a snapshot.
So you have the purchase and use tax on this pie chart. This is 105 million, I assume. And is that net of the 52.5 or does that include the 52.5?
Does not include the 52.
Okay, so really all of it together, that's right, because a third of it goes to the Ed Fund and 2/3 of it stays with you. Okay.
And then talk about our governor fiscal year 26 budget. So I won't read out every item. I'm happy to discuss any, but I'll touch on the big items. A 1.85 million net increase in contractual services. And that is for, as Secretary mentioned earlier, the FAST modernization core project that's happening right now. And this is moving from the implementation phase into the maintenance and operation phase. So we're showing that 1.85 increase on that side.
This is your IT project?
Yes. And that is going to go, we have a couple slides further on, but dive in a little more, but that's going to, the final phase of that will launch November of this year. On the operating side, we are showing a $420,000 decrease, and that is a result of less postage, better operating efficiencies with the new core system. Previously, if you were, say, at the Newport DMV office, you would mail documents to here in Montpelier to the DMV headquarters. And now, since we're able to scan documents, we no longer have that interdepartmental costs, and we have less outward costs as well to the public with mailing. And outside of that, a nominal increase, 57,000 with equipment costs, and that is we're reflecting that at some upgrading printers and some other equipment in the department. Go to the next slide. And this is just a breakout of the crosswalk. Happy to dive into it if there's any questions.
Pretty standard, other than.
Yeah.
It's fine. Don't see any questions on it.
Next slide. Federal funding, we're not seeing any issues. Our enforcement team has, commercial vehicle enforcement team has some funding with the federal government. We don't see any changes happening with that funding stack. Just want to, as of now, just notate that. Next slide. And then our positions, so currently we have 245 positions. We are decreasing the 14 limited service positions, which came on board at the start of the modernization project, because that project pulled staff to work on the project. And as a result, the department brought on some limited service positions in the interim. With the project going live this year, we're reducing that limited service headcount and bringing our full FTE count to 231. This number, from January, the 31 vacancies, as of last week, we're down to 10 vacancies across the department.
It happened.
And below, we're using the standard 5% vacancy savings built in.
So you hired 21 people.
In some of that,
Is in progress
yeah, some of those were in progress. Some of those were actually, in speaking with our finance director, they were actually our FMLA, people that are on FMLA.
Yeah.
So we count that as a vacancy, but they're actually still on payroll. Slide. Carry forward shows 3.3 million in fiscal year 24 carry forward. We're not expecting any carry forward funds this year, as we are right on target with our allocated budget.
So you'll use the 3.4 million from 24 plus whatever you've got.
No, that's just stating the funds that were carried forward, transferred into AOT or transportation fund back in 24.
Okay.
We are on target this year and not expecting any carry forward. In this slide, just talk about the single audit findings, which agency transportation does. We did not have any findings reference to DMV to address, and the 24 is currently pending. And then the core modernization project. This has been a really impressive. I know I'm new to this role. I came from DLO. We had a couple big IT projects, but what's impressive about this, FAST, the vendor, brings in employees in state, and they buy houses, rent housing, have families that come to the schools, and their team is here in state working side by side with DMV staff, agency of digital services staff, and really keeping this project moving on time. And it's been a great working relationship, and we're really excited for Vermonters to experience kind of a new way of doing business with DMV and try to make it as frictionless as possible.
Later this year, it'll go live. Were there 3 phases or just 2?
Just 2 phases.
Okay.
And that's all we have.
So I have a question for you about performance measures and how you define success and what sort of things you're measuring in terms of whether it's customer service or how long it takes people to get their license renewed, call time, wait time in line. What are some of the measures that you use to think about how well you're doing in serving the public?
Absolutely. So we have a weekly report that Operations provides, and that's looking at wait times, week over week, along with, processing time of the actual getting the paperwork out the door. And that's been with the first phase of the project, that's been very consistent. Numbers are low, and we're continually monitoring that and try to make the process as efficient as possible. Additionally, we are getting ready to do a survey monkey, if you will, or survey. Currently, it's when you come in to DMV, you fill out a card, and that gets sent around or sent to the commissioner's office on how long your experience was. Not great for data tracking. So we'd like to at least start doing, get a baseline, do a survey, run it for a month or so, and start getting feedback on getting a good baseline and then improving on that going forward. So it is something that I've made clear to the team. I view DMV as a retail department, or it's a retail organization. To provide the best possible customer service to Vermonters, so that we are laser focused in that, and we will continue to review the metrics, but not just review them, but also make those tangible changes and pivot as we can.
And Representative Harrison, who's online, has a question. I saw you, Jim. Go ahead.
Thank you. My screen changed and I've been having a hard time finding my hand. So bear with me. Commissioner, the second phase of the modernization project going live this fall, I don't see it referenced here, but I thought I had heard earlier reports that you might actually be able to have your license information on your phone with this system. Is that, or am I thinking of something else?
No, so that is something that some states have, which is your digital wallet. You have your license enabled on your phone. So if you get stopped by law enforcement, you can actually select what information you can provide. So if it's a law enforcement, you can actually click on your license and it's your whole license. Whereas if you go to a bar, you can just select what your date of birth is, so it doesn't show all your information. That is something a lot of states have. A lot of states are moving that direction. Currently, that's not something we're working on as part of this rollout. But it is something I think down the road, as more states continue to go down that route, that it's going to be a conversation to be had.
Okay, so nothing right now. Can you take a picture of your license now and put it on your wallet?
You can take a picture of your own license and have it in your photos. It's not a
It's not
not a
legit.
Vermont. Yeah, it's not a Vermont recognized form of ID currently.
Okay, no, that's good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. When they redid, I think it was called Help America Vote, back, well, maybe 20 years ago. The DMV became a vehicle to which people could register to vote. Where is the status of that now, or are you still doing that? And
Yeah, so when you come in, you can still register to vote when you sign for your real ID. I think we're exploring right now with the non-real IDs. There's about 24,000 non-real IDs that the department, that Vermonters have. And I think that's an area that we're working with the Secretary of State as well to bring that online.
do you have any problems with it? Do people experience any kind of difficulty with this?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't, in my short tenure here, I've not heard any issues with the program.
Other questions or things that anybody wants to say? I have a feeling the secretary, you look like you want to say something, Secretary Flynn. Yes, you may.
Thank you very much, Chair Flynn. I just, the commissioner being a bit humble, I just wanted to add on to the question of the metrics. I mean, the commissioner spoke about, mail processing, but they track the amount of minutes that it takes to resolve an issue or to answer a phone call. They track the number of people that are walk-ins this week versus last week, and how long did it take this week versus last week? They track the number of permits that they issue this week versus last week. There's a lot of metrics. There's so many retail operations, and they track them all. And I want to bring this up because through no fault of anything, going back like a year and a half ago, there were some rugged stories about people waiting 70 minutes on the phone. And now things are 5 minutes this week versus 3 minutes last week. And the reason is because there's been a lot of internal pivoting within the DMV. You know, for 30 years, if you had 10 staff here, well, we had 10 staff here, but if we only needed 6 now, how about we move those 4 over there where these folks are overburdened? And so I wanted to just bring up the fact that they made tremendous improvements in recognizing where there was some need for basic services to Vermonters in the entire area of the way Vermonters touch the DMV. And weekly they report to me what those are, and I just felt that
Sure.
I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, thanks for expanding on
They
that.
worked hard to do that.
And if I could just also add to what the secretary was saying. We've seen the incremental increase, I think, since the first phase of this went live on the amount of the time someone spends in the DMV, being serviced, but actually in the DMV. And I think what's important to know is when you come to the DMV now, you walk out with all the paperwork that you need. If you have all your required documents, you no longer just come in, it's a 20-minute visit, and then you'll get it in the mail 4 or 6 weeks later. You can actually come in now and walk out with your title for your vehicle. You can walk out with all the documents that you need. And while it's an incremental increase in the time someone's staying in the DMV, the whole process is now being completed.
That makes a difference. Approach.
Real and non-real ID, what's the non-real ID?
So non-real ID, you can't fly out of Burlington Airport without a non-real ID now. So non-real ID is, you can have your driver's license, but it's not accepted might not be accepted outside the state of Vermont for.
So are these people that have had licenses, in the past, but just have never come in to upgrade it to the real ID?
Correct.
It started as an enhanced driver's license, which, because I remember getting the interview. It's a longer process the first time, but then you're in, so it's a lot, and it goes, the federal government has delayed for like 10 years or something. The real ID was going to go into effect years and years ago, and this year seems to be maybe actually the real year. Is that what
I believe so. I think Massachusetts, I saw it on the news, Massachusetts finally said now's the time where they're doing it. I think they're one of the last big ones to jump on board.
So your passport will always work as a real ID if you're flying, or governmental things, but you can use your license if it's that enhanced one. D.
Quick one, it may not seem germane, but if you give me a little minute here. Lake Elmore is owned by the state of Vermont. There's people who like to race their cars on it. There's people in Elmore that don't enjoy that. In researching it, I was told that the commissioner of DMV has jurisdiction of some sort. Has this one come up to you yet?
It has briefly. It's a difficult situation where you can consider it a state highway. But the trouble is with the unposted state highway, the speed limit is set at 50 miles per hour. So it's hard to, there's nothing, so it doesn't technically, so if you're talking about it as a state public highway, it doesn't really, it falls with the Commissioner Department of Motor Vehicles, but there's no kind of real enforcement ability there to kind of make it seem more muddy than what it is. There's a section that deals with racing. I'm blanking on the chapter, it's on 23. That deals with racing, but that's only if it involves two vehicles at once competing against each other. If it's a single vehicle driving on,
Mhm.
say, a figure eight course, again, there's the enforceability there is,
Could I just give them your email address? If you don't mind, Madam Chair. I was told they couldn't access the lake. They couldn't get on the lake on state-owned property. They'd have to find a private residence to let them access it.
So I'm not positive on that because I believe A&R, if they don't block the access, so if someone plows their own
That's a
Way-
yeah, yeah.
through the state access, then,
Sorry to bother you with it.
oh, no worry. I know that's a real
I
concern.
shouldn't say bother. It's a concern of the people there. Yeah. Thank you.
Does that mean there's ice on that lake that you can drive on, or are you on the road?
They're on the lake.
Sure.
The lake itself, wow.
They're out there.
Whole other story. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. Thank you both for coming in and welcome to your new job.
Thank you.
Sounds like it's going well,
Having me.
and we appreciate your time. Director Senska is your liaison here as well. It's all transportation, and that's good too. So thank you all.
Thank you.
So committee, I'm looking at tomorrow's agenda. We don't have a 4 o'clock. The Secretary of Administration had a family issue, and so she's gonna come in probably next week. Erin, is that what you think? So tomorrow, we're starting at 9 with DEVA, Department of Vermont Health Access. And then we have ADS coming in at 11. It's Jim's, and in the afternoon, we have Human Resources, the treasurer, who will talk to us about Fed funds as well, and corrections. So we're kind of all over the map tomorrow. We have a buffet of one of everything. So anyway, let's